In this video, you get a chance to find out about using Bitcoin in the real world for real everyday purchases, how you can do it, and for self-development, how to become more of the person that you want to be, as I talk with the amazing Luis Fernando Messis. Today, we are seeing excitement in all kinds of ways that people can develop themselves and become better and better in what they're doing. And I'm going to talk today with a person that you want to hear. You want to get your pen and paper ready to go, or note-taking device of choice. As joining me right now from his offices out there in the Dallas area is the person who heads up an organization called Emancipated Human. I love that name. That's a fabulous name, and it shows you the excitement there. His name is Luis Fernando Messis, and Luis has joined us right now from his office there. Luis, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Terry. I love how awesome you are at speaking and putting together messages. So I'm excited to be here with you today.
Well, thank you very much. I'd have to say the same thing about you, because I've been able to see you. You and I, of course, have known each other from some events we've been to. We've spoken together. You've seen me speak. I've seen you speak. Tell me a little bit about Emancipated Human, your company, what you do there, and how you help people to grow and become more of the ideal person that they want to be.
Well, as I was explaining a little bit earlier, there's a couple of things. So Emancipated Human is my basically activism campaign. There's the other side. I am part of a small boutique consulting firm where we help people do away with command and control mentality, and we help them adopt servant leadership, which is a more organic form of leadership. And we've been doing this, I mean, the company's been doing it for almost 40 years. I've been doing that for, 7.5. And then the activist part, Emancipated Human, you mentioned how to start. So it's kind of an interesting thing, because it came out of an ayahuasca ceremony and a San Pedro ceremony. Basically, like entheogens helped me become an anarchist, if you will. So I was able to understand a lot of things, and I just felt the need and the calling in my being to create an outlet where we could show a different way of doing things, so people could find not just hate towards the state, but a way to find other avenues for the betterment of themselves first and society next.
Yeah, I like that. And you're able to show people how they can develop and grow more. One of the ways that you've been doing that, where you have helped me already, is an area that you are working with as more of a practitioner in the real world, and that is with blockchain, Bitcoin, and other alternative currencies. You were sharing with me before we started recording a way that you have used it before, some applications. Share with us that on how you're using some applications to make Bitcoin very practical in the real world.
Yes, I think that the most important aspect of Bitcoin is that it's a disruptive energy, and it does away with the old and stale ways of handling money. A lot of people hate on money, and they have a shadow of money, but in reality, they don't hate money. They hate socialized currency. Now, when we take the state, the monopoly of the state on issuing the currency, what do we have? We can have competing currencies. And something that, I was doing a speech for the local Libertarian Party here that I help out with. There were a couple of really, really smart guys talking about all the ins and outs of Bitcoin. And what I did was a little bit more practical. I guess I'm not as smart as they are on the idea of, knowing all the technical stuff about Bitcoin. So what I said is I explained what Bitcoin was, and I told him, I personally use my Bitcoin wallet as my normal checking account. I buy as much as I can possibly do, and sometimes I even get paid in Bitcoin. And then the question is, well, what do you do with Bitcoin? I have my Shift card here.
Well, tell us about that. So that looks like a regular credit card. What is that?
Yeah, let me cover my numbers here.
Yeah,
So it's
cover the numbers up.
a
Of course, good
Visa
day,
card.
right?
This Visa card is accepted anywhere in the world that takes Visa.
So that is
And
a Visa credit card or is it a Visa debit card?
it's a debit card.
Debit
It's
card, okay.
pegged to my Coinbase account. So what I do is, anywhere I go, like if I go to Whole Foods and buy me some watermelon water,
Oh, it looks like good stuff.
yeah, I just swipe the card or just use my phone. You can put it on your Apple Pay, swipe the phone, and you're using your Bitcoin, and they get paid in dollars. But you, from the moral standpoint of not using dollars or as little as possible, you're not contributing to that occupation of half of the world and all the horrible stuff from the monopoly and issuing that currency. So I think that in itself is extremely disruptive to the status quo, and it's what can allow us to gain more freedom. So I think that's an extremely amazing piece of information, and people can just go to shiftpayments.com and they can get it. The card is $10.
SHIFT and then payments, PAYMENTS.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
The card is $10 and they don't charge you anything for transactions. So it's a one-time payment. And oh my God, their customer service is amazing. They reply, like, they don't have a phone number, but I mean, who calls on the phone these days anymore? So, you send them an email, they reply the same day, and like, they're so good at it. I've had some issues sometime. I was staying in Philadelphia at some fancy hotel and they charge 3 times for my coffee pot. So, mind you, $17 is not a big deal, times 3. But I mean, that could have been another couple of days of coffee pots that you could have, So I called the guys from Shift and, they fixed it, got together with the hotel. Like, they're amazing. They're really, really good. So, I have no issues with these guys.
Excellent. We'll have to remember that. That sounds like a good way to take Bitcoin. So you're saying if someone were to pay you in Bitcoin for a service or goods or whatever, then you would be able to take that, put it over onto the debit card, and anywhere in the world that a Visa debit card would be accepted, you would be able to spend that, and it could be used in those the actual currency where we are. Is it only in US dollars, or could that also be in euros, yen, or whatever?
I've taken it to Mexico and just swipe. We had to rent a car. I used that one to pay, and I mean, anywhere. And it's not a prepaid card. You don't have to put money in it. It's just connected to your Bitcoin wallet, so you don't even have to do that transfer. It just swipes, and I think you have about $1,000 daily limit. But I mean, that's. Most times that's all you need. Like, there's been a couple of times where I've tried to buy some furniture and I had to remember, oh gosh, it's only $1,000, or like some airfare for the family. But other than that, like, it's very amazing.
Ah, that sounds good. And it seemed like a practical way to do that if you were in business and you were frequently needing to spend more than 1,000. I'll bet you they might be able to issue more than one of those cards. Or there would be some other ways you could get some other cards like that as well. Would that be a good way to do it?
Absolutely. You can only connect one card per wallet, but you can, have a couple of wallets, and, you can just pay normally with your wallet, and there are really no limits to pay. Just charge you a small fee for any transfer, any of that. But Microsoft is taking Bitcoin. Overstock.com is taking Bitcoin. So instead of using my card, I just, scan the code and send them money. And that was amazing and easy. And like, the desks that we've bought, some of the furniture with those guys, because they take Bitcoin, it makes it much easier for us.
Yeah, it seems like it's eminently practical. We know that Amazon is doing that. And of course, through purse.io, PURSE.io, you can now buy at Amazon at a discount. And you can buy in many other places as well. So I think it's wonderful that it seems like the world is opening up, Louis. It seems like to me we're seeing more opportunities now, and they're actually posing some competition for the fiat currencies like the euro, the US dollar, Japanese yen, etc., that are out there. Do you see that as some opportunities for entrepreneurs?
Oh, I see a lot of opportunities, and just the idea that you can take payment anywhere in the world through Bitcoin without any kind of nationalistic banking barriers. And one of my friends had to, he buys and sells gold, and he had to pass around $45,000 from Switzerland to another country. And it costed him a bunch of money, several days to transfer, and, whatever weight and fees. He said, if my client was dealing with Bitcoin, we could have done this, for a small fee, and it would have been done in one day instead of having to wait a couple of weeks through all sorts of government permission slips.
Yeah, it seems like it's a much more streamlined fashion. In a way, the analogy that comes to my mind, and I'd like to hear your comments on this, it'd be more like if I needed to get information from where I am here in Orlando to you there in the Dallas area, and I tried to send you a letter. I write out the letter, put it in the mail, and send it to you. It's going to take 2, 3, 4 days, depending on what we do, and you would eventually get it. And then for you to respond back to me, it'd be another 3 or 4 days, et cetera. Versus if you needed to get some information very rapidly, I could use email, I could use text, we could talk about it here on Zoom like we're doing right now, and we would think, why would you use paper when you can use a host of other kinds of alternatives? And it seems like using the wire transfers that we see, the bank charges, the transfer of funds, all of that would be much more backward than using something like a digital currency, like Bitcoin or something else. What are your thoughts on that?
I absolutely agree with you. And, it's always what happens when new technology comes about. People try to stay with what they're comfortable with what they know. But as you know, like our brains, when we stop doing new things and we stop learning, it just starts decaying. So to me, it's either grow or die, right? And the way I see it, a lot of people live in this dead world of just paper and faxes and banks that have a monopoly instead of just actually keeping up with the times. I mean, gosh, who uses horses for like long-term travel anymore, and who has a landline in their house anymore? So it's just part of technology, soon enough, we're going to be able to like put a chip in our brain and have like a 3D printer as a ring, and just start printing reality from our fingertips. And that's where we're heading to.
Yeah.
So, and I'm super excited to be able to do that.
Yeah, it is. It's exciting to be alive today. Matter of fact, I do have to show you. You say, who uses a landline anymore? Well, I do. Here it is. I've got a landline right there, only because my cable company says, here, you can have it, I think, for like $15 a month. But for me, it's a backup. Because it's just there that if we need it, we can use it. But you're right. I mean, there's so many things that technology has beautifully replaced because it's easier now, it's smoother. And then, matter of fact, I want to kind of use that to segue over into another area. I know you teach a lot of people about leadership, about becoming the kind of person they are. As we get rid of older technology, it would seem like that could be a metaphor for getting rid of areas that are holding us back in our lives. You help people with that regularly. How can people, when they're embracing something that was there, that's bothering them now, that maybe might be from the past, what are some ways they can release that and embrace a much better life that you have found that works?
I think it's pretty important, first of all, that people are being moved by purpose and love instead of, some sort of fear or hate. Because when we are moved by those higher vibration spaces, it's more sustainable, and it's a loop that feeds itself. Whenever you are moved by passion, by love, by all of these things, you're able to see ways, and you don't take it personal. You're not looking for always being right. You're looking for how the goal can continue, how whatever you're looking for can keep living. So it's like looking at a bigger picture instead of just being me-centric. You're seeing how you can leave a legacy behind you. You're seeing at how, like the human consciousness goes from me to us to all of us. And depending on where you're at in this continuum is what makes it easier or not to move on leaving unresourceful traits behind. And it doesn't have to be personal. It's just like when you have a pair of shoes that have a hole, you just kind of gently release them and thank them and buy new ones. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be like a big deal.
Yeah, I like that. We're able to look at it and say, okay, this area of my life might have served me well or not, but it's in the past, and now I can move on beyond that. And we acquire new skills. That's something that you teach people a lot also. What are some ways that you have seen that work best for people to learn new and to be able to acquire new that helps them to make their lives better and the lives of others around them?
A lot of times what we tell people is very useful to remind them how they used to have fun when they were little, because it seems like people don't give themselves permission to have fun anymore, and they feel like they have to be this super responsible adult that never makes mistakes and is always working, and it's like a badge of honor. I didn't take vacation for 2 years or 3 years or 7 years. I'm like nonstop working, and I'm nonstop working, and I love that. But like 2:30 p.m. I go to the backyard and I have a gym and I work out. Weekends, take the kids out. The purpose of it is not how much of a badass can you be, but what is your contribution? And if you're not taking care of yourself, then you can't keep going. So when we focus them on how you used to have fun when you were little and bring that back to now. So like if somebody liked painting, maybe you can build something around that painting or the essence of why you liked painting. So bringing stuff that you feel familiar to help you move on, because otherwise we just stay stuck.
Yeah, exactly. Well, getting unstuck is something that you help people do a lot, and you have helped me. I mean, those of you that are watching this, I'm letting you know right now, you got to get to know this guy. He is a wonderful man who has helped me personally in many different areas, and as you get to know more about him, you find out what he's doing. He's a genius. He's very kind. He's helpful to people, and he's a great family man as well. Great husband and father. I see that personally from there. And you want to get to know him. Lewis, people say, okay, I want to get to know this guy. What's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
I'm always on Facebook because it's part of work. So, Luis Fernando Misses on Facebook.
And if you don't mind, spell that out for us. For those that might not have native English as a native language, how would you spell that?
LuisFernandoMisses.
Very good.
So just that on Facebook, or I guess Emancipated Human on Facebook too. I'll always have my phone next to me, so I'll be happy to answer and be of service.
Excellent. Well, good points on living, practical tips on using Bitcoin and making it real in the real world, and breaking free of some of those items, those beliefs that might not have served us as well, and moving beyond that. Lewis, you've provided a lot of good information. Thank you for what you do, and we'll look forward to seeing you again sometime.
I'm so appreciative for the opportunity, Terry. Hopefully we'll get to see you in Dallas soon.
You bet. Look forward to it. And for those of you that are watching this, I'm serious about this. Every so often in life, you get a chance to meet people that can really improve your life. And by getting to know them more, hanging around their site, seeing what they're doing, you become better and you look back and go, wow, I'm really glad I met that person. You just now have been introduced to an emancipated human, a marvelous human being, a person who has helped many people, and I encourage you to get to know Lewis, find out who he is, find out his material, and what you can do. I'm Terry Brock with terrybrock.com, and thank you very much for joining me today.